talking to us. He spoke to us, and he's already moved to India today. He is otherwise spoke to us when we recorded speech. He is from USA. Swami Mukundananda will be talking to us. Well-being, what is very important during the difficult times. Swami Mukundananda is again a fantastic person to listen to us. Please pay attention, listen to him, and it will really do a lot of good to you. Presenting to you Swami Mukundananda.
Swami Mukundananda is a world-renowned teacher of spirituality, yoga and meditation. He is an international authority on mind management, IIT Delhi and IIM Calcutta alumnus, and a Bhakti Yoga saint. He has been invited for lectures at Fortune 500 companies in the US such as Google, Intel, Verizon and Yahoo. He has been invited for lectures at various NGOs, non-profits such as United Nations, Defense Research and Development Organization, DRDO, Indian Railways. He has been invited for lectures at the top-tier universities such as IIT, IIM, MIT, Northwestern, Princeton, Stanford and Yale. Swamiji has authored books like 7 Mindsets for Success, Happiness and Fulfillment, Bhagavad Gita, The Song of God, Art of Mind Management, and many more.
Namaste. When I first went to America, in the shopping mall, I saw a place which had the banner TGI Fridays. That made me wonder, what kind of a name is TGI Fridays? Then I saw in the airport, it was an eatery and it had the same name, TGI Fridays. I saw it around in 3-4 places and my curiosity was aroused that what in the world kind of a name this is. I asked somebody, what does TGI Fridays mean? He said, Swamiji, it means thank God it's Friday. I said, why should we thank God it's Friday? He said, because in America, people find the work week of 5 days very exhausting. And they look forward to Fridays. That is the starting of the weekend. So on Friday evening, everybody is happy. I said, but there is a little problem with this kind of thinking. If you say TGI Fridays, then you will be obliged to say OGI Mondays. Oh God, it's Monday. He said precisely, Swamiji, in America, don't call anybody over the phone on Monday morning because everybody is in a bad mood. In fact, statistics show that more accidents happen on Monday morning than on any other day of the week because people are mentally stressed. They have to go for work. But is it necessary that we have to be happy only on Friday evenings? Can we not be happy on every evening, on every day of the week? We definitely can, if we learn a little bit of emotional management. Suppose one man was asked by his boss to meet him at 8 o'clock in his office for a special meeting. Now, he was living an hour away. So at night, he set the alarm for 6:30. Unfortunately, the alarm didn't ring in time. And when he woke up, he realized it would be a close call. He rushed to the washroom to discover that his wife was blocking it for the next 10 minutes. That delayed him further. Finally, when he was ready and had his breakfast and went to his motorcycle, he discovered the tank was empty. His son had emptied it. Now he had to pull it to the petrol pump, get the tank filled. And on the way, he hit a traffic jam which delayed it even further. The consequence was that when he reached his boss's office, the boss gave him a piece of his mind, and that put him into a bad mood. So, this bad mood that he is experiencing, who is responsible for it? Is it the boss who scolded him? Or is it the traffic jam that delayed him? Or his son who emptied the petrol tank of the motorcycle? Or was it the wife who blocked the washroom? Or was the culprit the alarm clock that did not ring in time? The answer, you all must have guessed, is none of these. External situations may be as they are, but ultimately, our mind is always in our control. And the emotions we choose to harbor are always a choice that we make. We can only begin doing emotional management when we realize the gap between the environment and our emotional responses. Nobody can force us to feel bad or to be unhappy. If we are in a bad mood, it is we always need to take responsibility for it. As long as we keep on playing the blame game, we will never become better at managing our own emotions. So, there are two radio channels playing in our mind. One can be called channel P, and the other is called channel N. Whenever something happens, these two channels start speaking. Let us say a marketing salesman went for a sale and he was rejected by the customer. Now, channel N says, he did not buy your goods. The goods are useless. You don't know how to sell. You failed. You have always failed. You will always be a failure. You will never succeed. On the other hand, there's channel P. It says, who knows? Maybe he already had things. There was no need for him. Maybe this was a wrong time. Possibly I made some wrong statements which I can change for the next time. The sky is the limit. So these two channels are always playing in our head. The one we tune into results in the mindset that we develop. Successful people, happy people, effective people are those who have learned to tune into channel P. Now remember, the more you tune into one of these two channels, the more it will develop a hold over your mind. And you will naturally start listening to it habitually. That is why, if we have become habitual listeners to channel N, initially we will need to struggle a little bit to switch channels. But as we start developing the positive, optimistic attitude, it will grow naturally to us. I am reminded of this person. This young man had married with great hope of living happily ever after and having found his perfect ideal partner. But as often happens in marriages, things did not go well. And consequently, that marriage ended in divorce, leaving him terribly bitter. And a month went by. He was having great difficulty dealing with his bitterness. To top it all, the company for which he was working required that every month he has to change the password. And the password, as often stipulated, must have one numeral, one capital letter, other small case letters, at least 8 digits, and one symbol apart from numerals and letters. Now, how in the world to keep track of a password that I make? So he decided he would just use this password 4G at the rate her and something further. Forgive her. Now, every time he had to enter the password, forgive her, slowly the self talk that he was doing to himself, all is bad, she is bad, it started changing. Never mind, throw away the bitterness and move ahead in life. And in a few weeks, his attitude and perspective changed. That is how it is in life. Things don't always go the way we want. After all, in 2019, you all had your plans for your dream job or your startup or promotion to the next level or merely enhanced production at your work. And then all of a sudden, the pandemic hit us. Now, what are we going to do? Do we stop here and say that this is the end? Or do we struggle on beyond the obstacle and reach further ahead? Let's take inspiration from one person who was practically the epitome of grit and perseverance. It's a very inspiring story. This person's name was Karoli Takacs. He was born in Budapest in Hungary. And in 1936, he was a sergeant in the Hungarian army. He had been practicing and had the ambitions of being the best shooter in the world and winning a gold medal. However, when the Hungarian team for the Berlin Olympics in 1936 was decided, the position in the shooting team went to a major, even though he was not as good a shooter, but because he was a senior officer. Now, Takacs could have filled himself with negativity, there's partiality, and there is no justice here, but he listened to Channel P and said, I will become so good, they will not be able to ignore me. He practiced harder. He became more disciplined, strained himself until he was the best shot in Hungary. And he was now definitely a member of the Hungarian team and tipped to win the gold medal in the 1940 Tokyo Olympics. However, in 1938, something unexpected happened. In the army, he had a grenade in his hand that blew off, completely shattering his shooting hand. Again, he could have thought this is the government's fault. The person who set it up, he should be punished. How unfair it is. God is unkind to me. But he listened to Channel P. It is what it is. Let me focus on the solution. And he did the unthinkable. He started training with his left hand. He did not reveal to anyone what he is doing because he thought they may discourage him and that will put him down. To keep himself enthused, unknown to the world, he kept on training. And in 1939, he arrived for the Hungarian shooting championships. The other shooters looked at him and they commiserated. We are so sorry to hear about your accident, but we love your spirit. You've come to cheer us up. Carolee Takak said, "I have not come to cheer, I've come to compete." They could not believe it. The competition started. He lifted the pistol with his left hand and he shot bullseye upon bullseye to become the Hungarian shooting champion. He was again tipped for the gold medal in the 1940 Tokyo Olympics. Unfortunately, the World War broke out, and that again shattered his dreams for the Olympics. But he continued. "I will look forth to the 1944 Olympics in London." The World War was still not over. The Olympics were cancelled. Finally, in 1948, the Olympics took place in London. And by now he was 38. Nobody considered him seriously. When he arrived for the competition, the reigning world champion looked at him and said, "Why have you come at this age?" Carolee ignored his negative comments. When his turn came, in the 20 meters rapid fire pistol shooting, he won the gold medal. He stunned the whole world. The man with one hand. And he did not stop there. In the next 1952 Olympics in Helsinki, he again repeated the feat for another gold medal. He, if he had listened to negative thoughts and ideas, he could have got 100 excuses to stop. The people who are successful in life also have 100 reasons to fail. It's not that a bed of roses is laid out to them, but they have one reason to succeed. They hold on to that and they continue moving. So life is like a roller coaster. It has its ups and downs. The Vedic scriptures say that this world has been made with duality. Jada Chetan Guna Dosha Maya Vishwakinha Karatara Santa Hansa Gunagaha Hipaya Parihari Vari Vikar. In this world, there is heat and cold, day and light. The rose bush with the thorns also having the flowers. In your life, there'll be difficult and unwanted things happening, but there will also be possibilities and opportunities. The way to succeed is to always look for opportunities. One father asked his sons to go and check out a forest of trees. Next year, he asked them, "How was that forest like?" The son who had gone in the winter said, "Father, it was completely devoid of leaves. The trees' branches were ugly and twisted." He asked the second son, "You tell me." The second son had gone in the spring. He said, "Father, I found there were little green buds full of promise and hope." The father asked the third son, "You tell me, how is the forest like?" He said, "Father, I don't know why these two are being so underestimating. When I arrived, it was full of blossoms of fragrant flowers. It was so delightful." The father asked the fourth son. The fourth son said, "There were luscious fruits, succulent and drooping from the trees. What a sight to behold." The father said, "My sons, that is the lesson I wanted all of you to learn. Don't judge life by one's seasons. It goes through a variety of seasons. Similarly, there are times when the chips are down. There are times when things are difficult, but that is no reason for us to stop. The point is not how well we are doing. compared to the others. The point is how well we are doing compared to how we can do. If you always run your own race, if you always compete with yourself, then today, if you can do this much and you've managed to do it, you will feel the joy of fulfillment. I tried my best. And it is in running your own race that you will reach the highest success in your life. So, people have analyzed, having discussed the various situations and emotional responses, let us see how we can handle the present difficult situation or any difficult situation for that matter. The first point to bear in mind: value yourself. Don't underestimate yourself. One professor went to a class and showed the students a 2000 rupee note. He said, valuable, isn't it? For students, it was. He said, if I'm willing to give it, would any of you be interested in taking it? If so, please lift your hands. The whole class lifted their hands. The professor then folded it and refolded it and refolded it. He said, would any of you still be interested in the note? All of them raised their hands again. He threw it on the ground. He trampled it with his foot and said, are you still interested? They again raised their hand. The professor said, precisely. The value of this note is intrinsic in itself. The externals, whether it is folded, it is put under a foot, or in a garbage can, really doesn't matter. Similarly, your self-worth is not defined by your successes or your failures. You are a divine soul, a child of God. We all have infinite potential. Let not one season in our life discourage us or demean our image of ourselves. Value yourself, value the life that you have received. The Lord has put us in this world with a meaning and with a purpose. So life is not an obligation or a burden to pass through. It is an opportunity. When we keep that positive attitude, we say, let me do as much as I can. I may be going through difficulties and hardships, but the point is, I have an opportunity to make a difference to this world through the work that I am doing. Let me do it to my best. And the third thing, value your work. You may have heard the story which is given so often. 3 workers, construction workers, were engaged in making a building. A social researcher came and asked one of them, what are you doing? He said, can't you see? I'm a mason. I'm working here. I'm earning 400 rupees a day. His attitude was, I'm earning 400 rupees a day. He asked the second construction worker, what are you doing? He said, this huge building is coming up. I'm engaged in making it. He had a more noble idea of what he was doing. And he asked the third worker, what are you doing? The worker said, do you recognize that shikhar on top? This is a temple of God. I am blessed to be working in the construction of a temple to glorify the Lord. The building work was the same. The workers were doing the same masonry work. The difference was in their perspective of the value of their work. Similarly, a personnel manager shared that employees primarily fall into two categories. He said, I have interacted with hundreds of workers in my organization. Some of them, when they come to speak to me, it is always about their entitlement, how much they are getting, how much they feel they deserve, and how they need the promotion, how they need the perquisites for their family. It's all about what they are getting. And there is another type of employee who thinks, whose attitude is, how am I doing at work? Do you have any tips for me to improve? What is the way I can do better so that I can grow my career? They are seeing their work as valuable. And this personnel manager shared, so interesting, Swamiji. Invariably, when the recommendation for promotion comes, it is always for the employee B category. Those who are focused on doing their best. Such people, when they fail, they don't take it as the end of the world. They think, how will I improve in this situation? And that is the way to grow in life. So when all seems lost and the situation, the world as we knew it, seems to be crumbling, remember there is a different way to look at things. Find meaning and value in your work. If your effort is resulting in feeding one family, it is such an important piece of work. When we decide what I am doing is of value, then challenges and difficulties are only incidental. There's a little known secret in this world. People will do so much for money, but for a cause they believe in. They will go till the end of the world. Take a look at the Madras Management Association itself. They were having all these physical programs. And then when the pandemic happened, what did they do? They did not just cry, they found other ways to do their work because they value it. They feel they are making a difference in the lives of people who are future leaders, people who can themselves make a difference to this world. So when we decide that we are valuable, our life is valuable, the work we do is important, then we will carry on with even greater enthusiasm to succeed in our own profession and in our life as well. Thank you.
Is emotional intelligence different from emotional competence?
This concept of emotional intelligence includes three aspects. The first is emotional self awareness. To understand one's own emotions. I am going into negativity. I am feeling uninspired. This is emotional self awareness. The second aspect of it is emotional empathy, which means an understanding and consideration for the feelings and emotions in other people. That enables us to be socially more harmonious and effective. And the third is emotional self management, the ability, after becoming aware, to manage our emotions, to overcome negative moods, and develop positivity. So, definitely, emotional management is a part of emotional intelligence.
How do we students handle the pressure that social media brings on students?
If we are not a part of the social media discourse, then we are seen as unsocial. If we are involved in social media actively, then we tend to lose out on many important things, including the academics. How do we balance this?
The world has definitely changed, and there is new technology available, amongst which is the internet and then the social media. Now, technology brings with it power, and any power we receive increases the possibilities, but also the dangers and perils. Just like when humankind got nuclear power, it opened up so many possibilities, but also along with it came the dangers. Similarly, social media has become a platform for sharing so many wonderful ideas and inspiring so many people. But at the same time, is the danger we could become obsessed with it. So there is nowadays this term called fear of missing out, FOMO, where people actually leave parties to rush back to the social media and seeing what is happening. But that is why it is important that we use technology but don't become enslaved by it. So try and establish some rules. I will limit my social media time to this. I will only look on social media at this particular time of the day. That way, you will ensure that you are the master of that platform and not the other way around.
You have done some corporate roles before turning into spirituality. Of the two, which one do you consider the most challenging? The corporate life or spiritual life?
Challenges are not necessarily a bad thing. If people are asked, what kind of work would you prefer? Invariably, people say one that is relaxed and easy, where I don't have to exert myself. But experience and research shows that when people do a work that is a little outside their comfort zone, they have to exert themselves to the utmost. And when they are able to accomplish it, the sense of fulfillment gives the highest joy. So, challenges are actually a good thing. If the challenge becomes too severe, it could cause stress. But in life, we should always push ourselves beyond our comfort zone. So, frankly, when we truly believe in something, then no kind of difficulty or hardship has any meaning or value. And what I find is that doing the work that I'm doing gives me so much of joy that I don't even look on it as a challenge. Every day is an opportunity to do my best.
From times immemorial, science and religion are viewed contradicting each other. One is based on evidence while the other is based on absolute faith. How do we deal with the dilemma of viewing one through the lens of the other and still not get mixed up?
This concept that science and religion are contradictory is a Western concept. It arose from the time of Copernicus when he challenged the geocentric view that the earth is the center of the universe. This was the Western viewpoint, never the Indian viewpoint. But in the West, they believed that the earth was the center of the universe. And when Copernicus challenged it, writing his papers, that incensed the philosophers there. And subsequently, Galileo, he developed his Galilean telescope and he said Copernicus' views are correct. So he was told, retract your views or we will burn you like we burned Bruno. He said, all right, I'll retract my views, but the truth will remain the truth. So slowly, the religious people started accepting the viewpoint of science, but that suspicion remained from both sides of between science and religion. Now, from the Vedic point of view, there is absolutely no contradiction between science and religion, science and spirituality. The Vedas say, Dve vidye veditavye parachaiva paracha. Tatra pararig vedo yajurveda samveda atharvangi rasa. They say, look, there are two sciences. The first is material science, which is physics, chemistry, biology, etc. Material science, which helps you understand the rules of external nature and harness it for your bodily comfort. And then there is spiritual science. Spiritual science helps you understand the rules of your inner nature, your emotional management, and helps you manifest the divinity of your soul within. So there is no need to say this is wrong and that is wrong. They are both valid branches of knowledge. And to make your life a success, you will need both. To the extent the Ishopanishad says, Andham tamah pravishanti ye vidyam upasate tato bhuya evate tamo yo vidyaya gwamrata. If you adopt only material science, you'll go into darkness. And if you adopt only spiritual science, you'll go into greater darkness because you can't even take care of your body. So there is no contradiction. Both have their own place in your life.
During troubled times, as leaders, we are expected to be involved deep in resolving various issues. How does one remain calm when such involvement automatically leads to emotional stress?
That is an art. If the leader is selfish, the leader will become invested in outcomes for himself or herself. It must be this way, otherwise, it will be a disaster. And when we are attached to outcomes, we will experience the emotional disturbance. But if we change our perspective, if we become servant leaders, we will see our work as an opportunity to serve. So somebody may be the CEO, but he has to realize that the people under him are also on a journey. They are learning, they will make mistakes, they will have difficulties. As the leader, his job is to facilitate their growth, not to control. So just because a subordinate has made a mistake doesn't mean it's the end of the world. A good parent knows that the children will fall so many times before they learn walking and running. The parent doesn't get discouraged, knows it's a part of growth. Similarly, we have to learn this art of servant leadership, and that will come by increasing our spiritual power. So the concept of karma yoga, which Lord Krishna says, is precisely this: yogina karma kurvanti. A yogi is one, not who can do chakras and mayurasan. One, karma kurvanti, is doing works, and internally is equipoised in the highest level of consciousness. So in history, there were kings like Dhruv, Prahlad, Ambarish. As a king, they were engaging in Sam, Dam, Dand, Bhed. They had to do the worldly works, and yet they were in divine consciousness. So keep that as your ideal. How can I become a karma yogi? And do your work, and alongside improve the sentiments with which you are doing it.
In the last few years, we have witnessed some successful businessmen and celebrities driving themselves to suicide, which is considered a momentary madness. Since all of us face pressures of various kinds in a day to day life, how can we guard against such emotional disasters?
Difficulties come, failures come. Our educational system, the upbringing, trains people for success. Unfortunately, in life, failures are more common than success. And that is why we need to develop the inner strength to handle failures. No matter where we are, what we do, we will always encounter failures. Politicians, film stars, they have reached such heights that millions, crores of people in our country would gladly exchange places with them. And yet, one failure split that person. So, Saint Kabir put it so nicely. He said, Sona sajjan sadhujan, tute jude so bar, durjan kumbh kumar ke eke kara darar. Those who are good people, the gold, the saintly people, you break them 100 times, they will join again. And evil minds and the mud pots of the potter, once smashed, are shattered forever. So, if we wish to develop that inner strength, we need to change our value system. It doesn't matter if I failed. What matters is, am I becoming a better person? If I'm becoming a better person, I'm these failures are only part of the journey. So we all, to succeed in life, need to enhance the quality of inner strength, because to reach success, we have to go past multiple failures.
Thank you, Swamiji, again for sparing your time to speak to large number of management students. Your inaugurating and thought-provoking insights will do really good to the students who are really gone through a tough time during these difficult times, and I'm quite sure every word of wisdom what you shared today is going to be a fantastic rule changer for many students. Thank you so much, Swamiji. Pranam, and stay safe, stay healthy. Now I request Group Captain Venkat, is our General Manager, Head of Training, to deliver the formal vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed my pleasure to propose the vote of thanks at this convention. Let me begin by thanking the distinguished speakers who have spared their valuable time and addressed the large number of students. Let me also thank President MMA, Mr. Ravichandran Purushothaman, and the entire management committee for supporting this convention. Mr. Mahalingam, the convention chairman, for putting together such a wonderful convention. Let me also thank my colleagues from the MMA Secretariat, led by Group Captain R. Vijay Kumar, distinguished panel of jury who spared their valuable time in judging the various competitions, the large number of students who have participated in all the competitions that were conducted, the sponsors who supported this convention, without whom this was not possible, the academic partners, large number of educational institutions who have encouraged their students to participate in the convention in large numbers, Mr. Chokkalingam for his excellent videography, Mr. Shankar for so nicely streaming this seamlessly, and Ms. Yogacharini for sharing those valuable life tips with the students. We thank our media partners, the Hindu Business Line, for their excellent media support. And lastly, please remain in touch. Visit our website to know what MMA is doing for students, and anytime feel free to contact us at the details given on the screen. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.